Picture this. You're a queen, and you've got a thing for this Roman general, but oh boy, he's got a wife back home. Sounds like a plot for a soap opera, right? Well, let me introduce you to the OG love triangle. Cleopatra, Julius Caesar, and his wife Calpurnia. Let's start with Cleopatra, the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic kingdom of Egypt. She was no ordinary queen, oh no. Cleopatra was a linguist, a naval commander, a diplomat, and a medical author. Talk about a multitasker. And did I mention she was outrageously beautiful? No wonder Caesar fell for her. Then there's Julius Caesar, Rome's top dog. He was a military general, a statesman, and an author. He was charismatic, ambitious, and had a knack for making people love him. But like every other man, he had his flaws. Like being married while having a fling with a queen. Now let's not forget about Calpurnia, Caesar's wife. She was a Roman noblewoman, and she's often overlooked in this saga, but she was a key player in the drama. She was the one at home dealing with her husband's infidelity, while also trying to navigate the complex world of Roman politics. So, there you have it. A queen, a general, and a noblewoman, all caught up in a love triangle that would put any modern-day soap opera to shame. I mean, imagine being Cleopatra, trying to balance ruling a kingdom and wooing a married man. Or being Caesar, leading the Roman Empire while being entangled in a scandalous affair. And let's not forget Calpurnia, dealing with her husband's very public infidelity. It's like an episode of Real Housewives of the ancient world. So how did these two powerhouses come to be involved in one of history's most scandalous romances? Buckle up, because we're about to dive into some juicy history. Every good love story starts with a meet cute, right? Well, Cleopatra and Caesar's was more like a meet sneaky, or should I say, a meet sneaky in a carpet. Picture this. Cleopatra, the charismatic queen of Egypt, with her sharp intellect and shimmering beauty, decides she needs to meet Julius Caesar, the powerful Roman general who's just arrived in Egypt. But she can't just waltz in and introduce herself, no siree. There's a little matter of her brother occupying the throne and not being particularly fond of her. Could be something to do with that whole trying to usurp his power thing. Sibling rivalry, am I right? So Cleopatra does what any sensible queen in her position would do. She decides to wrap herself in a carpet. Yes, you heard me right, a carpet. Now if you're thinking, that's a pretty bold move, you're not wrong. But then again, Cleopatra was not your average queen. She was a woman of audacity and wit, and she knew the element of surprise could be a powerful tool. With the help of her trusted servant Apollodorus, Cleopatra is smuggled into Caesar's private quarters, all bundled up in a luxurious Persian rug. Once there, she unravels herself, literally and figuratively, taking Caesar by surprise. Talk about making an impression. If you're thinking that's a bit extreme, let's put it in perspective. Imagine you're trying to get a date with the hottest, most powerful person on the dating app. Would you just send a hey? No, you'd probably come up with something a bit more intriguing. Maybe not hide in a carpet level intriguing, but you get the drift. This unexpected introduction sparks a connection between Cleopatra and Caesar, a connection that would alter the course of history. Cleopatra, with her intelligence, charm, and audacious entrance, had captivated the most powerful man in Rome. And just like that, one of the most iconic and controversial relationships in history was born, all thanks to a rug and a queen's courage. So, if you're considering your next dating move, maybe take a leaf out of Cleopatra's book. Now that's what I call making an entrance. Okay, so they've met, sparks flew, birds sang, yada yada yada. But what's next for our dynamic duo? Well, let's take a moment to dissect their relationship. Cleopatra and Caesar weren't just about the lovey-dovey stuff. They were a power couple. Think of them as the Brangelina of their day, but with a lot more at stake than box office numbers. So what exactly made them so powerful? Well, for Cleopatra, having Caesar by her side was like having a personal army at her disposal. Literally. She was the queen of Egypt, sure, but her throne was on shaky ground. So having the Roman general, the big cheese himself, on her side, that was a major political win. It was like having a bodyguard who could also conquer countries. Talk about a two-for-one deal. On the other side of the coin, Caesar had a lot to gain from this alliance too. With Cleopatra, he got a foothold in Egypt, which was like the Silicon Valley of its day. But instead of tech startups, they had grain. Lots and lots of grain. And who doesn't love bread? It was a strategic move that made him a major player back home in Rome. But let's not forget the personal aspects. They were two of the most powerful people in the world, and they chose each other. They were a power couple in every sense of the word, setting relationship goals for centuries to come. They had it all: power, wealth, influence, and a love story that stood the test of time. Their relationship was a mix of romance, politics, and mutual benefits, blending the personal with the political in a way that would make even the most seasoned reality TV stars blush. And they did it all with an unmatched sense of style. I mean, who else could pull off a toga quite like Caesar? So they're basically the ancient equivalent of Beyoncé and Jay-Z, but with more togas. All good things must come to an end, right? And in this case, it's more like a tragic Shakespearean end. So here we are at the end of our ancient love story. The curtain is about to fall on our power couple, Julius Caesar and Cleopatra. It's time to say goodbye to Jules, who met a rather unfortunate end, thanks to a pesky group of conspirators who had a serious problem with his dictator for life vibe. Now, Caesar's death wasn't just another Tuesday for Cleopatra. Oh no, she was left in a bit of a pickle. And by pickle, I mean a power vacuum that she had to navigate with the grace of a ballerina and the cunning of a fox. Remember, Cleo wasn't just Caesar's love interest. She was a queen, a diplomat, a strategist. She was playing the Game of Thrones before it was cool. So she had to dust off her royal robes, put on her kohl-rimmed game face, and get back to business. And let's be honest here, Cleopatra was no stranger to drama. She took Caesar's death like a champ. Sure, she may have shed a few royal tears, but she quickly realized that weeping wasn't going to solve her problems. She had a kingdom to run, after all. You see, Cleo was a survivor. She was a woman who knew how to play her cards right. She was the queen of turning lemons into lemonade. And boy, did she have a lot of lemons to deal with after Caesar's death. But let's not forget about our dear Julius. His tragic demise marked the end of the Roman Republic and the start of the Roman Empire. So in a way, he did get to be a dictator for life. Well, in spirit at least. So Cleo and Jules didn't exactly get there happily ever after. But hey, they sure made history while they were at it. So, what can we learn from Cleopatra and Caesar's whirlwind romance? Other than not to trust anyone with a bunch of knives on the Ides of March, of course. Let's take a step back for a moment. We've journeyed through the sands of time to ancient Egypt and the marble halls of Rome, following the footsteps of two formidable leaders. Cleopatra, the last pharaoh of Egypt, a woman of intelligence and charm, and Julius Caesar, the ambitious Roman general with a flair for dramatic exits. Together, they sparked a romance that's been the talk of historians for over 2,000 years. But why? Well, it wasn't just for the love letters, I assure you. Their relationship was a strategic alliance, a power play that shifted the balance of the ancient world. Sure, they might have enjoyed the occasional moonlit cruise down the Nile, but their eyes were always on the prize. Cleopatra needed Rome's military might to secure her throne, and Caesar, he was just a sucker for a queen with a kingdom. But it wasn't all sunshine and sphinxes. Their relationship was fraught with peril, from jealous rivals to political upheaval. And let's not forget the whole being stabbed multiple times in the Senate thing. Talk about a bad breakup. And yet, their story continues to captivate us. Why? Because it's a tale of ambition, intrigue, and the power of love, or at least the love of power. It reminds us that even in the face of adversity, there's always room for a little romance. Or a lot if you happen to be an Egyptian queen with a thing for Roman generals. So, what can we take away from this? Well, if you're planning on dating a world leader, maybe do a background check first. And if you're ever in Rome on the Ides of March, maybe just stay in and order a pizza. And there you have it, folks, the story of Cleopatra and Caesar, a tale of power, passion, and the perils of dating in the political spotlight.